Hello and welcome to the West Asia Post. I am Redi Francis, coming from Beirut, Lebanon, for a new episode of WION's weekly show where we bring you all things new from the world's most volatile region. This week in the West Asia Post, we will be covering Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's last goodbye from Tehran to Iraq, Turkey emerging as Washington's new bet in West Asia, and the Israeli aggression in Gaza, Lebanon, and Syria continuing. All this is lined up. Let's go. The man who led Iran for decades has been buried. Now the question is, was this the end of an era for Iran? Or is it the beginning of a more dangerous one? This question is echoing across West Asia. We tell you more.
The funeral is over, the battle for the region is not. Iran just showed the world exactly who survived this war. A leader is buried, a message has been sent. This was never just a funeral. Millions did not gather in Tehran to grieve alone. They gathered to answer a question the world had been asking for months. Could Iran be broken? The crowds gave their reply. Ali Khamenei is now laid to rest in Mashhad, ending a state funeral that stretched across 5 cities and 4 months of delay. But the story does not end at the grave. It begins there. Washington and Tel Aviv went to war in February, hoping to shatter the Islamic Republic from the top down. They killed the supreme leader. They struck his commanders. They bet the regime would collapse behind him. It did not. His son Mojtaba now holds the title, though he has barely been seen in public since the strike that killed his father, fueling questions about who truly is steering the state. Yet the system built in 1979 is still standing, and it just proved that with a funeral crowd in the millions, the emotions are overpowering, and millions stood on the streets holding posters of the late supreme leader, some with tears in their eyes, while others crying out loud for revenge.
America is the great Satan and Israel is filth. God willing, we demand vengeance. Vengeance for Imam Hussein. Vengeance for Imam Khamenei. O Hussein, O Hussein, O Hussein.
For us, the loss of the leader weighs even more heavily than the loss of our own parents. I welcome him back to his hometown. Though we were not worthy enough to see him before, he is here now, and we will go to visit him every day.
People were deeply distressed and anxious. They truly could not imagine what would happen after the Imam. Yet we saw the leader step in and set everything right, making things even better than before. I am certain that Sayyid Mojtaba too will perform well and successfully handle the challenges ahead.
Compare the pictures. In 1979, the revolution toppled a monarchy backed by Washington. The images of Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi's portrait being thrown, burnt on the streets. The Gulf states, rattled, formed their own council in 1981 and opened the doors wider to American bases and hardware. Nearly 5 decades later, a second shockwave hit the region, and this time the roles have shifted. Saudi Arabia, Qatar and Oman remain inside the American security net. But the confidence behind that alliance has visibly cracked. These images of Saudi delegation led by the country's deputy foreign minister at Khamenei's funeral came as a surprise to many Western experts. Iranian retaliatory attacks had targeted the American bases on Saudi soil, and the messaging was stark. Iran's opposition in exile, led by Reza Pahlavi, called for uprising from abroad. On the ground, the crowds that mattered were not chanting for him. They were mourning their supreme leader. They were familiar chants against America and chilling messages vowing revenge, which even made the US President Donald Trump make this admission.
I'm number one on the kill list for Iran. They're lovely people. I'm number one. So I don't know. I can't tell you that, but I don't really care because I'm doing my job and I'm doing it, I hope, better than anybody's ever done it.
The control of the Strait of Hormuz has emerged as Iran's most potent strategic weapon. One, it appears more willing to defend through military escalation than its nuclear program, over which it endured decades of sanctions and diplomatic isolation. The waterway has become so central to Tehran's strategy that Iranian forces this week reportedly opened fire on ships transiting the strait without what it considered its approval, triggering an exchange of fire with the United States and putting last month's fragile interim peace deal at risk.
The Strait of Hormuz today is the only card Iran has, and regardless of the threat and the menace that the Americans will direct toward Iran, even by bombing it every single day or intensifying the bombing, Iran will not let go, and the Strait of Hormuz will not return to prior February 2026.
For Iran's leadership, Hormuz is no longer merely a maritime choke point. It is the country's strongest source of leverage in its confrontation with the West. The card, it believes, compelled Washington to halt the war and the foundation of its broader regional strategy.
So from a crude oil point of view, about 20% of the world's oil flows through there on a daily basis. So too the same for liquefied natural gas, and slightly higher as well for petrochemical feedstocks as well. So things that go into making plastics. So essentially this really narrow choke point waterway is critical to the global economy.
The war itself left deep scars on American positioning in the region. Reports point to US installations damaged and future troop movements under review. Syria, meanwhile, refused to be drawn in, holding its neutrality even as missiles crossed its skies. Khamenei has now been buried, but the movement he led is entering a new phase. The missiles sent one message, the funeral sent another. Wars are fought with weapons. History is often decided by resolve. And in Tehran, the crowds were determined to show that one leader's death would not mean the end of the revolution.
A funeral that has become a show of strength. Vast crowds, millions from Tehran to the holy cities of Iraq, gathered to say the last goodbye to Iran's late supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. It has been said that it is one of the largest funeral processions in the history. Now, this is not only a funeral, it is now emerging as a show of strength and unity for the Shia in the region. We tell you more in this report.
Millions of mourners stretching as far as the eye can see. Black flags rippling through the crowd. portraits of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei held high above a sea of people, and a glass-cased coffin moving slowly through streets flooded with grief. The Iraqi holy cities of Najaf and Karbala have been transformed into a vast corridor of mourning. Men, women and children stood shoulder to shoulder, some in tears, some beating their chests in traditional Shia mourning rituals, others reaching out, hoping for one final touch of the coffin as it passed. The procession moved slowly, almost inch by inch, as security personnel struggled to control the immense crowds. These were not just the scenes of a state funeral, they were the scenes of a massive religious gathering. They were the scenes of a moment that brought together Shia communities from across the region. The choice of Iraq is deeply symbolic. Najaf is home to the shrine of Imam Ali, the first Imam in Shia Islam, and one of the holiest sites for Shia Muslims anywhere in the world. It is also one of the most important centers of Shia religious scholarship. From there, the procession moved to Karbala, the city where Imam Hussein, the grandson of Prophet Muhammad, was martyred more than 13 centuries ago. For Shia Muslims, Karbala represents sacrifice, faith, and resistance against tyranny. The massive turnout for Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's funeral procession in Iraq is considered shocking as it represents a complete geopolitical inversion of the brutal Iran-Iraq war. During the 1980s conflict, the two nations fought a devastating war of attrition that cost over 1 million lives. Bypassing through these two sacred cities, Khamenei's final journey has been placed at the very heart of the Shia world. The visuals are extraordinary. For Iran, this is more than a final farewell. It is a demonstration of the country's religious influence, its historical ties with Iraq's holy cities, and the enduring bond that connects Shia communities across the region. The procession is being described as one of the largest funeral gatherings of modern history, with millions taking part across Iran and Iraq.
Israel says that October 7, 2023 has changed everything. Now, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has security as a center point for his political campaign for the next elections. But now the question is not whether Israel will keep these buffer zones in Syria, Lebanon, and Gaza. The question is whether Israel will actually retreat. We tell you more.
The lesson of October 7, that is how Israel is justifying a fundamental rewrite of its security strategy. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says one of the biggest lessons from the Hamas terror attack is that Israel must have buffer zones inside enemy territory. Not inside Israeli territory. It is a statement that signals a major shift. Israeli troops are deployed inside Gaza, southern Lebanon and parts of southern Syria. And according to Israel's leadership, those positions are not going anywhere anytime soon. Under these understandings, both the United States and Lebanon have recognized Israel's right to maintain a security zone inside Lebanon for as long as it remains necessary to safeguard our security. We will continue to hold this security zone until Hezbollah and all other terrorist organizations are fully disarmed and no longer pose any threat to Israel from Lebanese territory. Israel withdrew from southern Lebanon in 2000 and from Gaza in 2005. But after the October 7 attack, Israel's government argues those withdrawals created a security vacuum that was exploited by armed groups. Defense Minister Israel Katz says Israel will never leave its security zones in Gaza, Lebanon or Syria until it believes its border communities are safe. Israel insists these buffer zones are about security, not territorial expansion.
The IDF will remain in the security zones in Lebanon, Syria and Gaza until further notice in order to protect our residents and communities from jihadist elements.
Many in Israel believe only the Israeli military can prevent another October 7. At home, the strategy has broad political support. Opinion polls show a large majority of Israelis back maintaining a security presence in southern Lebanon. Even opposition leaders have stopped short of calling for an immediate withdrawal, but abroad the policy is drawing growing criticism. France and other countries have accused Israel of violating the sovereignty of its neighbors. Critics say security cannot come at the cost of indefinite military occupation, mass displacement and the destruction of border communities. Israel disagrees. And so what began as a response to the deadliest terror attack in Israel's history is fast becoming a long-term strategy doctrine. A doctrine where the front line is no longer at Israel's border, but inside other nations' territories.
Now let's talk about Turkey, another big nation in West Asia. Turkey is not only a NATO ally, it is emerging rapidly as Washington's new bet in West Asia. Now the American President Donald Trump says he is thinking about lifting sanctions on Turkey. And Turkey will be back on the F-35 program, a move that has raised concern in Israel. The next report brings you the details.
For years, Turkey was on the outside, kicked out of the F-35 program, hit with US CAATSA sanctions over its purchase of Russia's S-400 missile defense system and locked in a diplomatic standoff with Washington. These sanctions were imposed by the US on Turkey for buying Russia's S-400 anti-missile defense systems instead of American Patriot system. At the NATO Summit 2026, US President Donald Trump said he intends to lift sanctions on Turkey and will consider selling F-35 stealth fighters to Ankara.
He could have gone into that war very easily, and he didn't. At my request, he stayed out of that war. He's been a very good ally. I mean, Marco could tell you we have a very strong relationship with Turkey. You know, it's a very big country. It's a very powerful militarily. It's the second most powerful country in NATO. It's a NATO country. So whether or not we do that, I haven't totally made up my mind. But my inclination is to say, look, he's done everything. He's helped us in so many different ways.
If the deal moves forward, it would mark one of the biggest reversals in US-Turkey defense relations in years.
Regarding the F-35s, Mr. Trump actually has a positive approach towards Turkey. God willing, when the F-35s are delivered to Turkey, the whole world will say that America kept its promise.
Hosting world leaders for the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, Turkey is consolidating its position in the region and beyond. Turkey has managed to use the 2026 Iran war to further cement its position in the region. But the F-35 sale to Turkey has set off alarm bells in Israel. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has publicly opposed the possible sale, warning that advanced F-35s in Turkey's hands could alter the regional military balance, particularly as tensions between Israel and Turkey have deepened over Gaza, Syria, and their competing regional ambitions. The tensions have become so sharp between US and Israel that a planned meeting between US Secretary of War Lapid, Hegseth and Netanyahu was cancelled amid disagreements over the potential F-35 sale to Turkey. Meanwhile, Washington's policy shift extends beyond Turkey. The US has removed Hayat Tahrir al-Sham from its foreign terrorist organization list. US has lifted broad sanctions on Syria's new government in what many see as an attempt to stabilize post-Assad Syria and rebuild ties with Damascus. The biggest question is whether America's new embrace of Turkey will come at the cost of Israel's long-held military edge in the region. From diplomatic isolation to strategic engagement, Washington appears to be redrawing its West Asia playbook.
Despite a ceasefire in place, the Israeli military operations haven't stopped in Gaza. Thousands are still suffering from displacement and destruction. But now, besides this tense situation, there's a new public health emergency emerging. The United Nations says that thousands of chickenpox cases have been recorded in the past few weeks in Gaza. Take a look.
The gunfire in Gaza has not fallen silent. Israeli tanks, naval gunfire and demolition operations have been reported across multiple parts of the Gaza Strip. Local sources said heavy fire targeted Gaza City's neighborhood, while the Israeli military expanded its buffer zone in the area, leaving some Palestinian families trapped.
The strike was at an encampment. As you can see, for the displaced, there is nothing. Look, he had planted flowers and trees and told me, "Come see what I planted, Auntie." There is no in the tent. His son even came to me this morning, saying hello and good morning, and left for the test with my son.
Reports say Israeli naval vessels opened fire off the coast of Khan Yunis. At the same time, restrictions on humanitarian aid, commercial goods and civilian movement remain in place.
We were staying in the tents on the understanding that this area was safe and people live in tents. By God, I was asleep when suddenly a missile struck. We came here and found the impact. There were martyrs and wounded. People were carrying them to the ambulances and they loaded them onto carts and took them all to the hospitals.
Everyone in Gaza is a target. Infants, pregnant women, the elderly, the young and old. All of Gaza is a target, and 2 million Palestinians are targeted, and we don't know what we have done.
Another crisis is spreading rapidly. The United Nations says nearly 9,300 cases of chickenpox were reported across Gaza in just 2 weeks. The outbreak is being driven by conditions that have become all too common across the enclave. Severe overcrowding, limited access to clean water, poor sanitation, accumulating waste, and the breakdown of basic health services. Around 1.7 million Palestinians, nearly 80% of Gaza's population, are now living in about 1,600 displacement sites, many without adequate shelter, clean water, or hygiene facilities. Health workers are distributing medicines, expanding water trucking, chlorination, sanitation, campaigns, and community outreach. But the UN warns that the response remains far from enough. It is calling for unhindered humanitarian access, more funding, and an expansion of health services to prevent the situation from worsening. While chickenpox is often mild in children, it can cause serious complications for newborns, pregnant women, and people with weakened immune systems. The outbreak is the latest reminder that in Gaza, the humanitarian emergency is no longer only about the war.
That's all we have for you on this episode of the West Asia Post. I will see you next week with a brand new lineup, always bringing you ground reports, news, and updates from West Asia. I'm your host, Ghadi Francis, signing off from Beirut, Lebanon. For more global news, keep on watching WION World is One.
analysis, controversies, and power play. Stories that analyze global and domestic politics. A dedicated show with varied perspectives, expert take, citizens' voices, detailed ground reports, and in-depth coverage from political corridors of the world. This is Race to Power, only on WION.
WION Health Resort is unique, the only one of its kind. Experience the 4 paths of natural wellness: yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy. Each uniquely customized program improves the whole person to make every person whole. Come to WION Health Resort. Make your reservation at WION.com.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, world is one.
In-depth coverage of global issues broken down into facts, figures, and simple words. Backed with analysis from field experts who truly matter, because we believe in decoding the real picture for you. So you get a much wider and deeper understanding of stories from around the world, a 360-degree analysis. An award-winning documentary series, week after week creating the maximum impact. Watch WION Wide Angle at these times on WION.